Hello, good day. Good day, good day. I realize my clip finish. At all. Now settling myself here. And we are going to have a bumper time in the name of the Lord. Although we are in the midst of grieving for our brother Derek, our dear brother. But to me it's a happy grief, because he lived his life and he lived a good life. Son, today we was all just for church and then realized it's 11:30. I listen, we can't go to church for 11. We leave at 11:30. Normally we might reach 11:30. But to leave here 11:30 to church for 12, to sit down for half an hour. Like I watched on TV. So we did not end up going to church today, and probably that's why I'm so prompt and on time today. It's when you have children, Sometimes the children are up in the night. So one of them getting up at a field, you have to do this, you have to do that. So that is the action. That's why sometimes parenting is a funny situation. Right? But tonight, this evening, we are going to spend this evening talking about Total Onslaught Part 2, because we are being attacked. And as we go through this study this evening, which is basically based on Revelation 17, although we did that already, but we just, so much information to unpack. I couldn't unpack all in the last sitting that I did with regarding this topic. Right? So this time now we're going to see if we can, how much more of it we can get out. And there is so many slides that I would like to, bits of information, some of the video. We're going to look at a video of a gentleman that is saying that the climate change isn't really changing, but people are adamant that climate change is real. So, and then they chastise him when he comes with his facts, So it's all an agenda. All right. So as we get into this side of the study, let's say a quick word of prayer. Okay, beloved Father, our Lord, please diminish me and use me as your vessel to speak your words, O Lord Jesus. Thank you for giving me the ability to serve you, Lord Jesus, and that others may receive this message and understand the truths that are being spoken of here today, O Lord. Bless me to this end, O Lord, and bless all that have contributed to this program in whatever little way. Help us have a good study this evening, O Lord. Amen. Yeah, so we are going to be looking at this topic again. And why I label it Total Onslaught is because the Word of God and the children of God, the people of God and the Lamb of God is being attacked on multiple fronts. Multiple fronts. Alright, so one of the areas, I think I never really spoken about this here, is the Jesuit priests. We never really dealt with that topic, and that is an entire study by itself. But some people seem to think that Jesuit priests are just run that they are priests that just run soup kitchens and so on. But in true and fact, these men are the men who are actually running things. And I have to go and do the research and get the rest of the information with regards to how the Jesuits operate and why they came about. Although I have some of it in my notes here, but they are a serious bunch of guys. Very serious. In so much so that they are as serious or even more serious than the CIA. Let me understand what the CIA is, what it stands for. The CIA is an organization attached to the United States government that is dealing with espionage, spying, and so on, and they try to protect the homeland from international threats. But they also go beyond that, right? So whatever the America wants, the CIA goes out and get it done, right? So if it's regime change, if it's a company that is dealing with terrorists, they will put things in place to get that company to stop existing. Yes, and that kind of thing. And the Jesuits are no different. It's just that they might say, well, this book, this encyclopedia is painting the Catholic Church in a negative light. So we'll have to get our publishers in there, we'll have to get our people in that institution and stop it from publishing it or revise the edition so that the Catholic Church will look good. So that is the kind of powers and fellas and them moving with. That is the kind of ability they have to sway public mind and public opinion. And in some circles they call that Jesuit theater. So they control what you see and what you hear and what you understand. I even go as far as a couple of weeks ago, we've been looking at the fact that they have changed words in the Bible tremendously, and to change what is the truth to what their truth is, right? But their truth is not the truth, so their truth is a lie, right? So this is one of the things we want to look at today, and I never really dealt with that issue of the Jesuits, so probably next week Saturday I'm going to look at the origin of the Jesuit order within the Catholic Church and when it started and why it started and what are their role they are playing, because that is a serious issue we need to deal with on this life here. All right? Within the Jesuit order now, you have something called the Black Pope. All right? Within that, there is somebody there, like it's about like a shadow pope, and the Black Pope, they say, is the real man. And they are advisors to presidents around the world, presidents and corporations. These Jesuit people, they are aligned with governments, government officials, presidents themselves. They are advisors. They are the ones who are actually making things happen. Right? Right? Their work, what they do is mind-bending. You can't even wrap your mind around it. And I looked at a couple documentaries, and when you look at the people as little old men, that if you look at them from at a cursory glance, you don't believe that's the kind of work they're doing, but they are doing it. And when the Bible says they work in darkness and in mystery, that is what they're talking about. That is what the Bible is talking about. Right? Right? One of the things that movement has done is that they have cancelled the Reformation movement. You understand? So the Reformation movement, people started to read the Bible for themselves. Catholics started to read the Bible for themselves. And they started to reform. So they started to put in reform in the church. One being Martin Luther, who nailed his 95 Thesis to the church door in Germany, right? And they wanted to kill him for that. But other people at that time had agreed with what he was saying, so he was spared. He was whisked away and hidden from the Catholics. They even thought that he was killed. But one of the ranking men in the country at the time would have befriend was his friend, and he took him and put him in a palace and hide him away. So the Catholics didn't know where he was. And because that person was a powerful person in Germany at the time, nobody had made any questions or any allegations or anything like that. And that's how Martin Luther's life was spared. But they have since that Reformation movement started, they have since gone on to cancel the Reformation movement. Son, we have gone on to cancel the Reformation movement, whether we like it or not. They have cancelled the Reformation movement. Son? And that's how they bring about all these different versions and so on of the Bible. Right? You never know, he has a short time, and when he have to do what he has to do, he's going to be moving very fast. Right? They are in one mind, and they are out to make war with the Lamb. Right? This is crystal clear. That prostitute in Revelation 17 that I keep reminding you about, right? Right? Them is just totally going towards the heading directly to war with what Almighty God has said. Every single iota thing that is true and correct, they are at war with it. You understand? They are at war with it. They don't want anything that is true and correct. They want false. They want their version of the truth. You understand? That's what they want. They want their version of the truth. That's what they want. Right through. As far as they can get it, as far as they're moving, and as fast as they're moving, they want what they want. Right? So, just to reiterate what the Revelation 12 is saying, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom yet, but have received power as kings for 1 hour with the beast. In other words, for a period of time, and this is what I said in part 1. So we just reiterating what we said in the other part. They are in one mind, right? And they're one mind, right? In verse 13, Revelation 17, 13 says, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So what we are actually seeing, and you'll see it come out more in the slides that I will present to you, is that they now are the powers of the world are literally given their authority, their autonomy, their land, right, over to the beast. And that is just in order to make war with the word of God, right? Right now we have a slide here, and I think we will have used this the last time, where it's talking about unity of the churches, right? And this thing is total onslaught because the Catholic Church is now talking about why the economy of Francisco can develop a new economic that create a better world. So I would have spoken about this the last time. They want to put themselves where the finances are now, not just the finances of Rome and the Vatican. They want to control or say what is happening with the finances of the world. You understand? So this is why Ellen White would have spoken about the unions, because right now the Catholic Church has her hands way all up to her elbows in the unions. The Catholic Church control the unions. Some of the strongest unions in the world come from South and Central America. South and Central America is only Catholic. The Catholic influence is very strong in unions. You understand? And the unions will bring about things upon the face of the earth, right? Like the new universal wage and all these different things. They are fighting for better working conditions for workers all around the world. But if they are doing that by themselves for the good of the worker, that is one thing. But when the Pope is using them to bring about to bring the world in line with its agenda, that is where it's problematic, right? That is where it's problematic. And when we see now the American, when we see all these the three main divisions of religion in the world coming together under one umbrella called the Abrahamic temple and all this thing, we have to be concerned. This is where all the religions are coming to one, and there's going to be problems with that because you have the Jews, you have the Christians being Roman Catholic Christians, and you have the Arabs, which is the Muslims, under one umbrella. And I spoke about this thing here multiple times, right? The unity of the church, right? This part of it here now is part of the master plan. So that's why I always keep telling you have to watch the spiritual line. It's total onslaught. They want to mash up Jesus. Because later on you will realize that if you have the Jews don't like Jesus. The Muslims, them don't worship Jesus. The Catholics don't worship Jesus. So where do the Catholics run to make everything run smooth? If Jesus happens to end up being a stumbling block, that's something we'll see. Yes. Right? So eventually, church and state is coming to fruition. We are seeing slowly but surely world governments are giving their power onto the Catholic Church. Right? When that happens, church and state coming together, that is where you have the new image forming. Right? So what we are seeing now is part of that master plan is to have a one world religion. And by bringing all the major religions under one umbrella, that is a step in that direction. You understand? So that is a step in that direction. Pope Francis joined with CEOs and Fortune 500 companies to form a new council focused on creating a more equitable economy. Now, this is what I'm talking about. The church now is going out to the kings of the world and is taking over the kings of the world, right? The move towards a kind of capitalism just got religious. So capitalism now is getting religious. Capitalism is how we live in Trinidad. We live in a capitalist society. So if you start a company, you start off doing lawn and power washing. That do go good. You have 6 men power washing pay, you're getting real contracts, you're making money. Then you decide to diversify. You start to do transport. You get a little 3 ton, that thing, bam. 3 tons start to get big, bam, you get 2-3 tons. Then you go into trucks. Then you have sealant and all kind of thing. That is capitalism. You're free to grow your business how you want. But what this fella is saying, what Pope Francis is saying, is that he's joining with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. Fortune 500 companies are listed on the stock market, right? And these are some of the biggest companies in the world, right? CEOs of banks, of Bank of America, Visa, EY, like Ernst & Young, BP, Johnson & Johnson, Salesforce, and 7 other Fortune 500 companies are joining forces with Pope Francis to promote a more inclusive form of capitalism in a new organization called the Council of Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican. So the kings of this world are now going back to the Vatican to form a new type of capitalism, right? The member companies of this new council represents more than $10 trillion in assets under management. You know, it's $10 trillion, right? The members companies of the new council represents, right, so every other under management, companies with over 2.1 trillion of market capitalization and 200 million workers in over 160 countries. That is all over the world, right? This council will follow the warning from Pope Francis to listen to the cry of the earth. So the ones that are about to deify the earth, that is deifying the earth, try making God earth and God. The cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, and answer society's demand for more equitable and sustainable model of growth. Right? Said Foster the Rothschild. Rothschild. Have you heard of him before? Rothschild. Founder of the council and managing partner of inclusive capitalism. So religion and economy is coming together. Capitalism, right? This thing here is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. Where capitalism and the Vatican order is coming together, right? Everything is being linked back to Rome. So no big company could say they're operating and they're operating outside, because these people are thinking. They bring in the mark of the beast, but they're not bringing it in a direct way, in an aggressive way. They are bringing it so wrong the road, so kind of out of the box, so kind of wrong that you ain't really understanding what really happening, and it is so deceitful that it making you think that is the correct thing. We need to save the environment. You understand? So the first pillar is the environment. We need to save the environment. So they put up all in the education system. Recycle. Right? Now that's somewhere good. They recycle, they save the planet, they have a carbon footprint. Right? Then they go now to the economic side of things now. In order to maintain the first pillar, they go on to the second pillar now, which will support the first pillar. Right? We need all government, all businesses to save the planet and get more value for people crying out. This is why they have the war. This is why they have prices going up and escalating. Because I like in my bed last night and I studied and I said, well, if this is true, why no study here? Oil and gas prices not coming down. Oil and gas prices going up. Because that now will keep pressure on the poor people, so that when they bring a solution, you will say, yes, that is a good solution. You understand? And this is what they are working towards. The other pillar now, they have the unions. So the union now, coming to tell you, you'll have a 4-day work week. And to satisfy the companies now, they'll say you have a universal wage. So they'll pay everybody at $10,000 a universal wage. Everybody getting 10,000. Right? But you don't own nothing. Them own you. Right? But let's go ahead and side note about this Rothschild business. You always hear about the Rothschild. And Rothschild, when you translate it into German tongue, the Rothschild really means red shield. And the red shield is what the Roman Catholics does use. Right? Right? So in truth and fact, and that's the next study all by itself. The other part aspects like this Rothschild name I have here. I have to do a little bit more research on the Rothschildism. All the scenes are in it, but I just doesn't want to go into all them things that is not totally biblical. right? So the Rothschild people, who are some of the very richest people, the creme de la creme, are actually Vatican backers, right? And if you all notice, along that same line also, all presidents that have been president of America are of royal lineage. That all comes back to that same kind of scenario there, right? So let us move on to the other slide now. Yeah, it's all coming together. And this is why I take my time and write down everything I have. Because I ain't just talking off the brain no more. I want all the information to run in as smooth as possible, because this topic is so important, right? This topic is so important that it is mind-blowing what they are doing and the direction in which the planet is going. Right? Now, as I told you, the climate agenda is right there in our face. The climate agenda is like Dota C, right? Before it had the name of the climate agenda, the climate conference business of the Catholic Church. They made it Laudato Si, right? Now, when we, Brother Heiliger, looked at that document and he preached a couple sermons on this subject matter, in the middle of the document, you see why they want the climate change agenda fulfilled. Is because it is part of them working towards getting people to worship on the Sunday, right? Pope Francis and 14 faith leaders call for urgent action to combat climate change. Future generations will never forgive us. In an unprecedented response to the grave threat facing all peoples worldwide from climate change, Pope Francis and some 40 leaders representing the world's most major religions have joined in an appeal for urgent action. So what they are saying is they want urgent action on climate. So what they are pushing now, they are pushing the climate agenda. Right? Matoda is one of the pillars there, the leading pillar they are using. They are pushing the climate agenda at you, so that now you will have to when you go down the road of the climate agenda, you now have to burn less fossil fuels. They want you to burn less fossil fuels because the earth is dying, the earth is going to be disaster. It's a grave threat. So they're using frightening language, grave threat. But this religious body, so concerned about the earth that they are coming now, all 48% of world people that are identified with faith are coming from the main Christian denomination and two main branches of Islam, Sunni and Shia, Judaism and Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Confucianism, Ostracism, they don't even know. Right? Christian present and signed in the Vatican include Pope Francis, Bartholomew I, the ecumenical patriarch of Constantinople, the metropolitan Federation of Russian Orthodox Church, whoever that is. A whole set of people that list here that come to sign document that the climate is under pressure. So let me do something about the climate. Right? That is what's going on here right now. And in the middle of all of that, they have no solution for the war. The war is raging. The war is raging in Ukraine. and they talk about climate agenda. Well, something, March 25th, 2022, Vatican News. Pope consecrate Russia and Ukraine spiritual act of trust amid cruel war. Pope Francis consecrate all humanity, especially Russia and Ukraine, to the Immaculate Heart of Mary. So he consecrated the people and the whole world to Mary, the Immaculate Heart of Mary, and says the act expresses our complete trust in the Virgin Mary in the midst of cruel and senseless war in Ukraine. Not to Almighty God, right? Or to the vessel that God planted a seed in to bring forth his son on the face of the earth. And that woman they call Mary, she had a very important role. She played a role beautifully, but she's asleep. I never see Mary on the Mount of Transfiguration. And even Mary was on the Mount of Transfiguration, is alive now in heaven, right? That was caught up, right? And was shown to us as being in heaven. She is still not a God. So why is she deified and being consecrated? And why is the Vatican using that to consecrate the world and the war and everything? That is blasphemy. That's pure blasphemy. Right? The Pope's renewal of the consecration came in response to the war in Ukraine and at the request for the Blessed Virgin Mary made in a apparition at Fatima on the 13th of July 1970. Pope Francis recalled that God chose the Virgin Mary to change history by beginning a new story of salvation and peace. And that is true. And that's what Satan has always worked. He always gets a little piece of truth and then poison the background. Confession is the sacrament of joy, he said. The Lord enters our home as he did that of Mary in Nazareth and bring us an unexpected amazement and joy. The Pope also urged priests to always express God's forgiveness in confession and never project an air of rigidity or harshness. So he's telling the priests and them, don't come down on people for the sin. Only God could forgive sin, my friends. And that's what we have to understand. Right? Mary is dead. Consecration to Mary, nothing. It's foolishness. Right? The Jesuits and them at work, they are the ones who occasioned all this madness here. They are the ones who perfected communism and all these different madness. Right? For us to say we're using Mary to get peace, that is madness. We have to use Almighty God to get peace. But the people, the whole that is sitting upon the waters, right? The Catholic Church, the apostate church, the church that is in apostasy, right? That's sitting upon many waters, right? They are using Mary to get peace. But what they are doing, they are building a house on sand. That kind of peace, that's why the Bible tells you, when they say peace and safety is death and destruction. You understand? When they say peace and safety is death and destruction, right? Right? So one of the things that Russia is adamant about is being Russian. And one of the things that the Pope is bringing about now is they wanted to stop nationalism. So that is where the Russians and the church getting the problems. Right? The Pope don't want no nationalism. Right? The Pope giving ultimatum and he letting you know he don't want no nationalism. And people all in America is noticing that too. People all in America is noticing that the Pope don't want nobody, right? And you know, hear what the Pope tell Russia in an article in the New York Post, April 2nd, 2022. These things are very common. These things are in our face, people. Pope Francis considering a trip to Kiev slams Russian invasion as infantile. So when you use that type of language, he's saying to Russia, but he's a little child, but you playing child games, but I see your elbows. I see big man here. You see me, the Pope? I see big man here. You's a little scrub, but you whine and blowing up people and you infantile man. Once again, some protested Sally caught up in an anachronistic claim of nationalistic interests is provoking and fomenting conflicts, whereas ordinary people said the need to build a future like that will either be shredded or not at all, the Pope said. The remarks came after Pope Francis said he is considering an invitation made by Ukrainian politicians and religious authorities to visit the embattled capital of Kiev. Yes, it's on the table, the pontiff said, offering no further details. So what the Pope is saying here is that this nationalism interest that is provoking and conforming or making conflict, it has to be destroyed. Right? So Pope Francis is saying, you want to comply with me or nothing? Political power and religious power are now one. Church and state have returned. The image of the beast is reformed. This is the Abrahamic Accord that they are talking about. When you see the Pope flexing him also against the mighty Russia, but Russia in my mind not so mighty, because Russia in my mind can make with Ukraine. So how you gonna make with NATO? How you gonna make with Japan? How you gonna make with America? All your mouth to bust up your mouth about your nuclear this and nuclear that. Right? Peace via reconciliation of the different religions. But peace cannot happen, right, when other religious bodies reject Christ. How could they bring about a world peace and other religious groups, right? Now, why I wrote that is when I read this. March, I call this one All Arab News, March 30th, 2022. United Arab Emirates, Israel, and US launches religious coexistent group to promote interfaith dialogue. And this is what the Catholic Church is peddling. And I'm going to read this article in its entirety. The United Arab Emirates, Israel, and the United States launched a working group dedicated to promoting interfaith and intercultural dialogue. The inaugural meeting of the Trilateral Religious Coexistence Working Group took place on Monday in Dubai. The Religious Working Group is another direct outcome of the historic Abrahamic Accord, the Abraham Accord. Its establishment was announced last October at the first trilateral meeting of the foreign ministers of all three countries. The declaration of the Abraham Accords, signed in September 2020, encouraged efforts to promote interfaith and intercultural dialogue to advance a culture of peace among the three Abrahamic religions of all humanity. You see where the Catholic Church again, they want the whole group, they want all humanity. Tolerance and coexistence are the path to a shared humanity and peace. Soon continue. The Abraham Accord have shattered long-standing paradigms, and now it is our duty to build on them and when the circle of peace, religion, and widen the circle of peace, regionally and globally, through these meetings of the Abrahamic faith to send a clear message of reconciliation, acceptance, and inclusion. Now, what will happen here now? You have the Israel, hey, who was what people until the Stone Stephen. Now, the Israeli people are Jews. So that is the Jewish nation. And the Jewish nation have rejected Christ, some of them. But the great majority, the Sanhedrin, the Pharisees, the Pharisaical people, all of them, they reject Jesus Christ. So this is why they have ceased to be God's people, and the message have now gone on to the Gentiles and the wider world. Right? What else you have here now? UAE, is a Muslim. The Muslim say Christ is just another prophet. Right? But they does worship the moon. Right? The next group now is the US, which falls under the Catholic banner, the Christian banner. Now, the Christian banner is very wide. The Christian banner is all the Catholic churches and all their daughters. So all the evangelicals, all of them who mix up in the ecumenical movement, all of these people, which is about 3 million people, right? The Pentecostal, all these other people, and earlier on, we saw where the Buddhists and all these different people are now in line with the Pope, because he's the head honcho, so they are showing homage to him. All these other peoples are now under this one umbrella of the Abrahamic inclusion and acceptance and reconciliation movement. Right? So this is where Satan now is going after the group one time. Now, the one stumbling block, right? The one stumbling block is Jesus Christ. Come check it out. The Jews, the Buddhists, all them S&M, right? The Muslim, all of them. The Muslims are big, large number again too. A lot of people in this world is Muslims, right? All of them have their beliefs, and none of them believe in Jesus Christ. So you really think they're going to accept Christ? This is why the Bible tells you in Revelation 11, when he come out of the bottomless pit, right? And he come up there, he will go and war the Lamb, and he will war the word of God, and he will war the people of God. Because what the Catholic Church will do, with what the Jesuits will do, is bring about a situation where they will say, okay, to reconcile and accept, we're going to reject Christ. Mark my words. The Black Pope, the Jesuit Black Pope, right? is going to help bring about a one world government. Right? And they will do their work in the media, in the Jesuit theater, and so on, to bring about a one world government. I want to run the next slide. Let me read this part here with this Jesuit man here. Jesuit Supreme, Vatican News, March 12, 2022. What month is it? April? So that just last month. Papa. Jesuit Superior General. Yeah? As citizens, we work for the good of Europe. One of the things that seem most important to me today is to strengthen the sense of planetary citizenship. Yeah, they're going after one world government. That is, and not the Pope saying that, the Jesuit Supreme General. That is who we call the Black Pope. That is what they call the people in the YouTube that call the Black Pope. That is, it is not a problem for the Ukrainians. It is not a problem for the Russians. It is not a problem for the European Union. It is our problem. As citizens of the world, as citizens, we must push politics in the direction of the common good. You see that common good business? Only watch that there. For, of course, a war like this is against citizenship, against civil well-being, against the well-being of nature too. They always define it. So to do politics is very important from a personal point of view, right? So these people are religious men and they admitting they are involved in politics, right? So church and state. As a citizen, and also to support this, for example, the feeling of public opinion is very important at the moment. And then in the political sphere, there is the aspect of negotiating, of diplomacy. But all this will not succeed if you do not have a strong support from citizens of the world and in Europe. So Europe is a different part of the world from here. So what the Black Pope is saying in a nutshell, is that they are now programming the mind to see that this world problem is not a Ukraine or a Russian problem. It's a world problem. So the citizens of the world must be concerned about this thing. Okay? So what they want now is a situation where they could control everything and have citizens of the world. You hear the direction they're going in? They're going in the direction of one world government. One world government. That's what they want. They want a one world government. Now look at somebody in the secular world. Let's take out 2 minutes and answer this fella here. Now this guy is in the secular world. And yes, on the massacre. Oh, no, I'm like too bad mistake. This guy is in the secular world, and he is noticing what is really happening. All right, he's noticing what is really happening. This video here for you guys.
And it's not like I'm just making this up. I'm just going to tell you, as much research as I do, as much looking into individuals and what they're saying, watch what they're saying, and then see who else is also saying the same thing. I actually think the Roman Catholic Church and the Pope Francis, is over this entire thing. And I think he's manipulating, controlling the entire narrative. I think he's got Anthony Fauci in his pocket. I think he's got Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Francis Collins. I think all of them are being controlled by a division of the Roman Catholic Church called the Order of the Jesuits. whose sole mission for the last 200 years I'm aware of, since 1857, they have been plotting to destroy the Constitution of the United States as the one last stronghold of a country that preserves and protects religious freedoms. And I think they've been plotting this whole time in many ways, either through wars, now through famine, now through pandemics. I think it has been a complete attempt of them to destroy the Constitution of the United States from within, to destroy the borders, to reduce, which is what they've said. We also have to reduce militaries in all countries, demolish all borders of countries so we can create a one world religion with the Pope as the one world leader. And if you are not listening to what Joe Biden said, what Anthony Fauci is saying, what Walensky at the CDC is saying, what Donald Trump is saying, they're all saying the same thing. And they're all doing the same thing. They're pushing for vaccines and then following what the Pope said. That it's important for us. Last month, just so you know, December 2021, the Pope came out and said, who is a Jesuit Pope for the first time in Roman Catholic history, this Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, said, there's only two things the world needs right now. The world needs to defund all of their militaries and reduce their personnel. And then the second thing the whole world needs is more vaccinations. Well, what is Joe Biden doing? Joe Biden is absolutely showing you, we'll just remove the military from Afghanistan. We will threaten mandates on the military. Who cares if 200,000 of them say they're going to walk off? This is reducing military. This is what he's doing. This is the attempt to do it. He opened up the borders, let people flood in. It's exactly what the Pope and the Roman Catholic Church have always wanted. So, and if you don't realize what the religion of Mexico is, who's flooding our borders right now from the south, it is Catholic. In the Catholic doctrines, they have stated that we need to flood America with Catholics. And we need to put Jesuits in position of political power in the government to destroy the Constitution from within. This is since 1857, by the way. Now, Anthony Fauci went to a Jesuit high school and a Jesuit college. So did Joe Biden. He went to Fordham University. So did Donald Trump. He went to Fordham University too, and the University of Pennsylvania, which are both mega Jesuit universities. Francis Collins in 2015, who's Anthony Fauci's boss, was flown to Rome, and Pope Francis actually made him chair over the Papacy's Science Academy of the world in Rome. That's Anthony Fauci's boss. All right. If you don't see the connection and the ties to
I don't think I'd add no more to that. But the good thing is, people are waking up and they are connecting the dots. You understand? People are waking up and connecting the dots. The Pope and them, they want zero borders. They want to reduce military. They don't want any resistance. You understand? They don't want no resistance to this one world government. Right? All of this is the usher in the one world government. Right? As the guy said, Pope Francis is the first Jesuit priest, right? And all of that, what he's talking about there, is part of the master plan, right? And everything is in plain sight, you know. All of this is leading to a big crescendo is the one world government, and they are using the climate agenda to bring about it. I keep telling you that, right? Watch what happened in Venezuela. Go back and do your research. In Venezuela, when the dictator over there took over, they called for everybody to bring in their guns. Bring in all the guns, bring in all the guns, bring in all the guns. And when everybody bring in the guns, then they crack down and restrict their movement, restrict their freedoms and so on. And this is what all these these kind of evil people does do. They don't want you to form a militia, they don't want you to form a resistance to say you want to live your life how you want to live. You understand? Because that's how the American Constitution, if you don't know, that's how it was made up. Right? People will have the right to bear arms so that if you go out somewhere in the wilderness in America, you have the right to form a militia and have a compound where you have all your people there, your horses, your food, your stables, everything, and you have the right to defend that with arms. Because remember, in those days, you have all them wild Apache coming, and remember the Apache line, how you come in the land and so on and so forth. So what they did was they had the right to bear arms. Now, if you notice, every time a democratic or a left government comes in, they want to take away the arms. Now, the left government is the one who is very liberal. So the Pope is also very liberal. All of them is very liberal. Right? So when they come into power, they want to take away arms. But those who are more religious want to keep their arms. So they decide with Donald Trump now, they will always tell you, we have the right to bear arms. We want to open carry. We want to have a gun. You understand? Now, when people, if this whole village here is law-abiding citizens, but they have firearms, do you think anybody come inside here? It's kind of like why do you think the Israelis could survive amongst all the enemies all around them from ever since to even up to today? The Israelites and them are surviving in an environment where they are not wanted by the Arabs and they are spying on them, right? Because in the Bible talk, the first set of spies was they went to spy out the land. So Israel had heard all the years all before Russia was formed, the Israelis were spying long time. That's why they are master spies, right? Them spying long time. So they have spies, tactics, all. Some of the best spy movie I watch is the Israeli send people, they send a man quite in Argentina to make fair with them as people and then take him from there and carry him back. So I start around the road movements and get a man inside Syria. You understand? So the climate agenda is on. Right? So what they are doing now, they are using a big stick approach to get all countries that they must adhere to this climate agenda. They must abide with it. You understand? It is no game. They have to abide with it. But unfortunately for them, the climate agenda business is crap. Because there are people out there who are telling you flat that they right? They are nothing is going on with regards to the climate. Right? Now where does this whole climate agenda takes us? Let me hear what they say in this article here. April 3rd, 2022. UN Chief Gutierrez, right? Acts to ensure private companies obey climate orders. So here and all is under the influence of the Pope, right? UN Secretary General Antonio Gutierrez has appointed a panel led by Canada's former environmental minister to ensure private companies obey climate directive with even businesses, investors, cities, states and religion. Every business, investor, city, state, and region targeted for compliance by the globalist body. Right? We also urgently need, there's a quotation I'm quoting here now from one of them. We also urgently need every business, investor, city, state, and region to walk the talk to the net zero emission, to the net zero promise, Gutierrez warned. In addition to examine net zero pledges by the private sector to group will hold local and regional governments to account, even if they don't report directly to the UN. So what they are saying is, if you are not even part of the UN and you do not comply with this climate agenda, we will sanction you, we will tax you, right? But the whole thing about this climate business is a joke. It's a big fat joke. You hear what I'm telling you? So there are numerous people online that are saying climate change is not real, climate change is not real, climate change is not real. Now, I usually get caught up in Jesuit theater. But the more you look at things and the more you read and you look at videos and so on, you get to realize why it have two sides of the story. Now, let me take a listen now to this fella here, which is Dr. Roy Spence, a meteorologist that doing have the climate check thing going on now about how much years now?
And so there are 5 main ones around the world. What makes yours special and what have you found?
Well, the global temperature data set that John Christie and I started over 30 years ago, the advantage to it is that it's from satellites and it covers the whole Earth. There's no other temperature data set that covers the whole Earth. It only goes back to 1979, so we can only talk about how much warming there has been in the last 43 years in that data set. But that is the period when it was supposed to be warming the most.
What sort of warming have we had? Is it in line, for instance, with the predictions from the climate models of 10, 15, 20 years ago that we face a climate crisis with very dangerous rises already in the planet's temperature?
Well, if we do a comparison, an apples-to-apples comparison between the satellite measurements, which are actually of a fairly deep layer of the atmosphere, okay? That's where most of our weather occurs, is in the troposphere, the lowest part of the atmosphere. And if we do an apples-to-apples comparison between the satellite measurements and what over 24 climate models have predicted since 1979, for that same layer, our measurements are actually at the bottom end of all those models. In other words, the warming we see is lower than most, if not all, of those models. So there is a discrepancy between what the observations are showing, which shows about an average of 0.13 degrees C per decade warming, which is, a very small number, compared to the climate models, which are generally, twice that at least.
Your kind of measurements have been upsetting to people that want us to believe there's a climate emergency happening, climate crisis, existential. And Google has now demonetized your site, claiming it makes unreliable and harmful claims. Which claims have they told you are unreliable and harmful?
Well, they're not specific about what claims. Basically, it says what their website tells me is that all of my whole website basically is unreliable and harmful claims.
Let me tease out exactly that, because I find this amazing, but also very sinister. So the people who run Google, who aren't climate scientists, have punished your website, and you are a scientist, one of the leading climate scientists in the world, measuring the world's temperature. They've punished your site without saying exactly why, what you've done wrong, claiming you are unreliable and harmful. Because, it seems to me, simply because your data indicates the planet isn't warming as much as alarmists have said.
Well, Martin, you got...
You can't get better than that. So because he's not in a line with what the Pope and them saying, Google, the kings of the earth, block him. Facebook, social media, everybody. Done with that information. You can pour that information. You could be how much expert you want. They are using their social media to block the truth. And very soon they'll use their social media to even block the truth of Almighty God. Right? This is the situation. Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. You understand? Whether we like it or not, that is the truth. What I'm about to show you now is what they want to return. What they want to return is the Dark Ages. In this next article here, Earthbeat, it says COVID-19, global warming, and diminishing Catholic guilt. Now, I have to explain what this Catholic guilt is. Remember, in the Dark Ages, the Catholics killed a lot of people, those who read the Word of God and kept his commandments according to how God wanted us to keep the commandments. Right? So this is what they are talking about, the diminishing Catholic guilt. So when these guys started to join me on the live there. Hello, say hello. Michelle. Peekaboo. Yeah. So when they started to talk about the diminishing, what they're talking about is that they have apologized for what some of the things they have done. So their guilt is diminishing. So in right off the bat, they are admitting that they have killed people. In some cases, they're talking about, yes, as in nose. Punching your nose? Nose. Yeah. They are talking about upwards of 200 million people that were murdered because they were not in line with what the Jesuits believe. Now, let's read this article. Right? And let's hear what this article is saying and what this Jesuit writer is yearning for at this time. Let's read this article. COVID-19 and global warming are enough to make me long for the days of critical power and Catholic guilt. In those good bad old days, the church hierarchy was able to issue thunderous edicts, and most Catholics would follow its direction like sheep. If the laity did not, they would feel guilty and feared going to hell. All that too is part of it. The church used to have power to make and break kings, the power to shape cultures and command people's action. Too bad it does not have such power to save humanity from itself today. So what these brutal people are saying is that they want the Catholic Church to go back to that type of madness, right? And the Jesuits, right, who are ultra madness, right, who have murdered God people, right? They have gone ahead and changed history, right? By changing the books and even alter the Bible. All you feel it easy? All you feel it easy in this place? Now what your article continues to say? Would that the Pope could declare vaccine skeptics and climate change deniers heretics. Now, I told you what a heretic is on this live already. A heretic, once you are branded a heretic by the Catholic Church, you have to be in prison for a year, and after that year, and during that year, you are tortured, and after that period, you are put to death. And put their books, articles, Facebook pages, and tweets on the index of forbidden books. So what this fellow is saying is everything that normal people would say that is against the Catholic Church ought to be banned, put on a forbidden list. But that is already happening. People have to go on alternative media outlets to post, right? This would be quite a change from the days of Galileo and Darwin, who were considered heretics. This time, critical power would be backing up science, right? So what they are saying this time, the critical power will be backing up science. Nothing would give me more illicit pleasure than having the governors of Florida and Texas, which have views that are not left. They are more on the right, they are more conservative, right? The left is more liberal. The governors of Florida and Texas, along with the leaders of oil and coal industry, excommunicated. Now, once you are excommunicated, this is what this person is saying here, they should be put to death. Once you are excommunicated, you are also branded a heretic. Just as kings and nobles were excommunicated in the past. And rather than organizing crusades against Muslims, as it did in the past as the church could mobilize its people to protect the health of the earth and humanity. But today, the Children's Crusade is led not by the church, but by Greta Thunberg. Right? So what he's saying is, the church members are not taking up this climate change agenda thing. So they're not reaching in their brains. Instead, it's a little girl, and he's saying it, hopefully, she will be more successful than the Children's Crusade of 1212, which ended in disaster. There was a time when there was a time when Christianity had the ability to do great things, some good, some bad. We marvel that those Christians in the past who dug the foundation of great cathedrals, the completion of which they and their children would never see, the idea of taking on a project like building a cathedral that might take centuries to complete is incomprehensible to us. Today we find it impossible to make sacrifices where mass that will benefit us in a few months, let alone make sacrifices like cut carbon emissions that will benefit our grandchildren in future decades. This man don't want to see this world end at all, right? That is Satan. He don't want to see the world end. He didn't talking nothing about end that time and time for we to go to heaven for 1,000 years. He ain't talking that at all. He talking about saving the earth and define earth, right? So this is what them fellas want. Them fellas want to bring back when the Pope in control and when the Pope could bust your throat and hang you, right? When you are not in line with his edicts. Now this better you know. This fella here, Jesuit Father Thomas Rees, column for Religious News Service, right? Signs of the time, appear regularly at National Catholic Reporter. Now, what he is saying here is also mind-blowing. It is also mind-blowing. What he is saying here is that the Jesuits are longing for the Inquisition to come back. Go on Google and write the Inquisition. Right? They are yearning for this to come back. Pope Francis in 2015 encyclical Laudato Si called for the world to individual and systematic conversion to prevent the disaster that is quickly approaching. Now we're talking about climate change, right? There are some who have responded, such as Laudato Si movement, formerly known as the Global Catholic Climate Movement. So this is why I keep telling you, they change the name to hide it, so you don't really understand it's a climate movement, right? But millions of us are going about our business, worrying about our daily lives, while Catholic bishops and elites, myself included, so he thinks he's an elite, argue about the Latin Mass, communion for politicians, and grindle. No. I want to Google what grindle means. I've never seen that word before. G-R-I-N. G-R-I-N-R. G-R-I-N-D-R. Let's see that is what the correct spelling is. G-R-I-N-D-R. G-R-I-N-D-R. Let's see what that means. Ooh. No. A website come up here. grindr.com. is the world's largest social network app for gays, bi, trans, queer people. Oh my God. Oh my God. So what this fella is saying is the Catholic people, but millions of us are going about our business, worrying about our daily lives while Catholic bishops, elites, myself included, argue about Latin Mass, communion for politicians, and Grindel. So then fellas talking about, let me forget that. Rather than the coming the coming climate apocalypse, Francis is right. We need both individual and systematic conversion. Our lifestyle must change, and our carbon-based economic system must change. We must turn the thermostat up in the summer and down in the winter. We must recycle and use less energy. But we also need government regulations and carbon tax so that the entire economic system becomes less carbon dependent. This will not be easy, but it must be done. The church has lost its clerical power, so I guess we will have to depend on Catholic guilt. But this time, the hell we face will be the making of our own. So this fella is saying we need to focus on climate change. We need to focus on climate change. We need to focus on climate change. I always saying, right? And in their eyes, everyone that talk about anything that is correct and the Bible base is branded a heretic, right? So these people are going down the road of programming the people of the world to deal with climate change. But in the middle of all of that is Sunday. America, the Jesuit Review, March 16, 2022, the Great Resignation and the spirituality of work. The Catholic tradition has consistently valued the right to rest, and specifically a regular weekly rest comprised of at least Sunday to devote to worship of God, care of loved ones, and recreation. In a society that has largely abandoned Sabbath rest, now the Sabbath rest is talking about the Sunday rest, not God's Sabbath rest. The Great Resignation may point anew to the sacredness of renewal time. A fresh fear that emerges with a new appreciation of leisure is that the modern world no longer understands the meaningful rest. So what they're saying here is people working, and people working 24/7 Sunday to Sunday. The latest available American Time Youth Survey from the Bureau of Labor Statistics report that in 2020 Americans spent on average over 3 hours a day watching television. People aged 20 to 24 on average an additional 1.4 hours daily playing computer games. Rest should recreate, strengthen labor, and to work to foster loving bonds of faith, family, and friendship. The Great Resignation, while promoting reconciliation of work, must also promote reconciliation of holy leisure. So what they are bringing about here is slowly but surely bringing about a new where they are encouraging people to stay home on Sunday as part of the climate agenda. So actually they are thinking to make this thing seem logical to you and for it to seem like, yes, this is a very good idea, this is a very good plan, Let us stream on a Sunday, we wouldn't go to work, we wouldn't go no. Fossil fuels will save the earth and will praise our God at the same time. So this is how they are going about getting people into the right, where they are going about putting things in a position where we are now giving back the power onto the beast. Right? This is what is going on. Very slow, very sure. Slow but sure, slow but sure. They are now giving back all the power onto the beast. Right? I need to finish this thing half past. And the amount of information I have here, I ain't gonna finish. You understand? So I want to jump to the last part now. There's 21 past 6 and I'll start here 5. I'm going to run ahead of myself to the last page here. Now we reach now what I can tell is in India, EU, in Asia, all these different places are now having a common day of rest. Right? Days of rest introduced slowly but surely. They call it Sunday streets. That's why names they're using. They're even thinking about introducing this right here in Trinidad to have certain part of the avenue car free, vehicle traffic free, to open a mall, a pedestrian mall, right there in town, right there on the avenue. By the square they're going on the avenue, they want to cut off a whole part of that place there. And this is part of this climate agenda. But they're not telling you that. They're just saying that they want to make a pedestrian access, a pedestrian causeway, so that people could walk up and down the avenue freely, buy food, lime, things, go to shops and so on. They want to make certain parts of the avenue into a pedestrian walkway. All right, on certain days. So this, in my mind, is in alignment with what the Catholic Church is saying, right? So our countries all over the world is talking about a day of rest, right? And all of this is under the climate agenda, right? And all of it, again, is for the common good. But the SDA will not accept this, right? Historically, Satan had Sunday as a festival day, right? So from ever since, Satan always had a festival, like kind of something, and then he make the Sabbath day look like a burden, right? So this is what they are programming as a thing, that the Sabbath of God is a burden, but the Sunday is a festival, is a happy time. So that's why they bring about these no car days, and you could come out and just have a time, and Trinidad love that. Because they go bring pan, they go bring barbecue, they go bring chicken, they go bring this and bring that, and you resting, then your rest day. So now your holy day, and you making your holy day and how you want to make it, and blah, 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 blah. Right? Right? The other issue I want to deal with before we close off, and I only have 5 minutes to do it, is morality and gender. Quite recently there we saw on the news where this black woman, the first black woman that they put to be the Supreme Court judge, she was asked to give a definition of what a woman is, and she couldn't do it. So just imagine, she couldn't say a woman is defined as an adult over 18, a female adult over 18. She was afraid to do that because she was afraid she wouldn't get her Supreme Court position. And I also saw other clips where other people in other areas, people in the medical arena, was asked on a separate panel, define a woman, what is a woman? And they were afraid to do so. You understand? And this is the tragedy of this world today. We have reached in a position where we can no longer even define what is a boy and a girl anymore. And this thing here is getting more and more and more and more glaring. Right? It is getting more and more and more glaring. So we have to go back to basics. When we go on, we look at yeah. When you go back now and you look at Genesis. Verse 27. What does Genesis 1:27 tell you? God created, right? And he only created two. He created man and woman. And then Genesis 6:19 tells you that when God started to bring in the animals into the ark, he brings male and female so that they could procreate. So again, with this agenda, they are attacking God, right? Right? And this is what they are pushing in the education system, right? And they call it progressive education, right? This world has officially gone mad. And what did Luke chapter 17 say? Luke chapter 17 and verse 26. We have to touch that text before we go on, right? Before we end. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the Son of Man. In the days of Noah, what's happening? There's eating and drinking, giving in marriage. All kind of madness is doing. Right? And evil, they was doing evil continually. That is what they come back to right now. Right now, we reach back to the stage of Sodom and Gomorrah. Right? Sodom and Gomorrah is being visited on the whole earth. Right now, everything is this kind of weird kind of thinking. My friends, this is what we are facing. Christ will come back. When Christ returns, according to what the Bible here is saying, right? God will return when he can't take this madness no more, because this world has completely gone mad. Right? Right? They eat, they drink, they marry wives or give in marriage until the day of Noah. Yeah. They didn't Noah enter the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Yeah. Likewise also, as it was in the day of Lot, they did eat, they did drink, they bought, they sold, they planted, they built. Even thus in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. So it will be the same way when the Son of Man will be revealed. Right? So when God comes back, that same scenario that existed in Sodom and Gomorrah is going to exist here again. I've always said it. We have to separate ourselves from the world. We cannot love the world. We have to hold on to Jesus at this time more than ever. It is now 6:30, and my wife and I have to go out. Right? So I will see you guys on the next sitting, and I hope you got the message. Right? So over.